Earlier today, the sad news came out that Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man, passed away at the age of 99, a few weeks short of his 100th birthday, which would have been January 1st, 2024. And I personally have been following Charlie Munger since I was a teenager, where, this was a picture from about 20 years ago, and he was a life hero and an inspiration for me personally, and just an example of how you'd want to live your life. And so you've seen an outpouring on social media of people talking about their favorite quotes and things that he did. So in this video, I wanted to do sort of a tribute to talk about the key principles that I personally think are a guiding light from Charlie Munger to focus on, and a celebration of his life. So let's think about some of these principles that Charlie Munger passes on. As always, the best way to learn about Charlie Munger is from a wonderful biography on him called Damn Right, as well as Poor Charlie's Almanac, which was edited and put together by Peter Kaufman. Both are wonderful books, and you can see them over my shoulder often when you're looking at the bookshelves. As a matter of fact, the last few videos you'll have noticed that Damn Right was over my shoulder on a regular basis. This was before the unfortunate news from today. And so thinking about the key lessons from Charlie Munger, the key lessons of a hero. The first is to be a survivor. No matter what life challenges get thrown at you, you put one foot in front of the other, and you put your head down and you adjust and you survive no matter what challenges. And he faced tremendous challenges. He, at one point, something like his 8-year-old son, Teddy, died of leukemia, and for months he had to sort of lie to him to make him feel all right and deal with this terrible disease. He and his wife split. He was pretty much broke at a point. He lost one of his eyeballs, so he was going to teach himself how to read Braille because he wanted to keep on learning. At one time there was an interview that really stood out to me, going back to that survivor mentality. Someone asked him about Dave Sokol, because Dave Sokol had previously been one of the top lieutenants at Berkshire Hathaway, and he was kicked out over a potential insider trading scandal. And he was later found not to have really done much, but the optics of it wasn't pretty, as Berkshire acquired a company called Lubrizol, and he bought stock immediately before Buffett made the offer. And the interviewer asked Munger, "Hey, do you feel like a victim, that he betrayed you?" And his response, it's a real lesson in that you don't want to treat anything like you're a victim. You want to put your head down and adjust to reality, one foot in front of the other, and that you're a survivor. And so if something happens, you figure it out, you understand what happened, you keep moving forward. And so it's just such an important lesson, no matter what challenges life throws at you. And I think this is part of the reason why so many people respected him so tremendously. Not only was he so witty and straightforward and, funny, but this man had real adversity, and he just made it work. And not only did he make it work, he was tremendously successful. Another principle, and he was fond of quoting, I think it was George Bernard Shaw, the principle of never wrestle with a pig, because you'll both get muddy, but the pig will enjoy it. So even though that wasn't directly, that Munger didn't come up with that himself, he would say, if it's trite, it's right. And the concept being, like, look, there will always be people in business, in life, that are going to cut corners, that are going to look to screw you over. And the second you start seeing that behavior, just try to cash them out of your life. You don't need to have them in your life. You don't want to wrestle with pigs, because you'll both get muddy, but the pig will enjoy it. And so having this principled take of, no matter in what way you're dealing with people, try to have that, stance where you'd want to give them more than the benefit of the doubt, and your behavior reflects that. So having that principled stance, and avoiding, ideally, troublemakers, avoiding people where, and you could see that in their business dealings as well. There was an opportunity for Berkshire Hathaway, for Warren Buffett and, Munger to buy a, like a tobacco company or tobacco products company, and they chose not to. Even though the returns were fantastic, they just felt it was a win-lose for consumers. So they said, hey, I'm not trying to, say, hey, have a moral judgment on that. That's, every investor is going to have their own journey. But what I am saying is that, they drew their own moral lines and said, no, from a principled perspective, it's just not right for us. So just tremendous respect for that. They're not reaching for the last dollar. They're saying, hey, it's important to have integrity for that aligns with their own principles. Another just key concept is the importance of learning. Munger routinely talked about how he met no wise man who didn't just read all the time. And a lot of people just think that, once you get out of school, that's, okay, I've learned, I'm done. I got my degree or whatever. No, that's, you've just begun. It's a lifelong learning. And you see Munger still had stacks of books around him even when he was 99 years old. He was still constantly learning. And I think if you're going to succeed both in life and investing, you need to have that mentality to constantly embrace a changing environment. Here it is, even though it was an investment that wasn't working out for Munger, he was open-minded enough to say, hey, I'm going to consider something like Alibaba, and think about e-commerce in China and rapidly changing environment. So it's an important dynamic to think, hey, I'm going to constantly learn. I'm going to constantly, reassess and consider things that I hadn't considered before. So that learning dynamic, it's also, something that I know has been talked about in Poor Charlie's Almanac, which is that if you have continuous, dogged, incremental learning, you're going to have this exponential growth. And if you don't have that attitude and you just think, occasionally something will work, or occasionally I'll pick up a book, you're going to be like a flat line versus a line that just goes up and to the right. And so the importance of just trying to learn a little every day, learn something about the world, read a little bit from a book, just learn a little every day. It's continuous compounding. Also, the importance of quality. He was one of the key factors for the reason why Berkshire Hathaway spent something like $25 million to buy See's Candy. See's Candy subsequently generated billions of dollars in profit for Berkshire Hathaway, just an all-time incredible investment. But it goes back to those principles, focusing on buy quality, align yourself with quality people, and it just pays dividends that are well in excess of what you can imagine. And that's why, honestly, one of the things I'm very grateful for with this channel, Unrivaled Investing, is that it's given me sort of this beacon of people that go, wow, I too like Charlie Munger, and people will reach out to me, about various different topics. And so it's sort of been a beacon of people sharing, hey, these are qualities that I like as well. And so it's really been, for me personally, a blessing to meet other like-minded folks that try to have that bar of quality and share in those sort of similar values. So that's, something to reflect on. And also, it does have real practicality from an investment perspective. These themes all cross both how you live your life and investment. With, investment perspective, you don't have to turn over your portfolio as often. If you buy something with quality, you just sit and hold it like Charlie Munger did with Costco for decades. Another key lesson is, when an opportunity happens, which will not happen every day, you swing big, you swing aggressively, and those will be the opportunities that change your life. And that mentality changed my life. During the great financial crisis, having that mentality of, there's only going to be a few of these types of opportunities where you can just put a huge amount of your assets. And Munger was a big fan of concentration. He would say, you can own 3 stocks and that's more than enough. I personally, I'm not as smart as Munger. So I need to have more diversification. But, here it is. He had that approach of just, be so extremely concentrated because, when he saw something, he acted aggressively. And, just incredible credit to him. And I think that's ultimately one of the key drivers of his tremendous success, is that saying, hey, I'm waiting for something that's obvious. The continuous learning has shown me what I'm looking for. These types of quality companies don't go on sale on a regular basis. And when they do, you act big and it changes your life. And, going back to my own personal takeaway, during the great financial crisis, it was one stock that fell 70% in a day. My family had lost tens of thousands of dollars on it. And I thought, man, this setup is just completely irrational. I made it 30% of my assets, and it worked out extremely well in the next year. And it was because of Charlie Munger, that mentality of swing big when you can find, when these occasional catastrophes happen, or when there's just incredible mispricings. And so it's just such an important, to align all these things, find quality, continuously learn, be aggressive when the opportunities happen. You don't need to be aggressive every day. And this idea that over time, you get what you deserve if you just keep at it and you have that survivor mentality. I hope this video, thinking about Charlie Munger, may he rest in peace. I hope it brings some peace to you and some joy into your life as you think about his tremendous accomplishments, both as a person sharing these values that really inspire a lot of people, as well as an investor. I'd say the investor part is relatively minor relative to his ability to lift so many people up to think about and achieve and aim to be better people. So I'd love to hear some of your comments below if you've had any instances or stories with Charlie Munger, or anything you've read about him that's inspired you. Thanks so much for tuning into Unrivaled Investing.